Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of Southpaw from 2015. After a fatal incident sends him on a rampant path of destruction, a champion boxer fights to get custody of his daughter and revive his professional career. Southpaw was written by Kurt Sutter, behind TV shows such as The Shield and also Sons of Anarchy, and it was directed by Antoine Fuqua, who has done lots of things like Training Day, Olympus Has Fallen, both the Equalizer movies and also the Magnificent Seven remake as well. This film has got a great cast. Jake Gyllenhaal, from loads of things, Spider-Man, Far From Home, Nightcrawler, Source Code, etc., is the lead. He plays Billy Hope. His wife, Maureen Hope, is played by Rachel McAdams from Doctor Strange, Game Night and Sherlock Holmes. Forrest Whitaker is also in this movie, one of the all-time great actors from things like Black Panther, Rogue One and Bloodsport back in the day. Oona Laurence is in this, playing their daughter. She's from The Beguiled and Pete's Dragon. 50 Cent is in this from Escape Plan and Spy. Naomi Harris from 28 Days Later and Skyfall. And Miguel Gomez from TV shows FBI Most Wanted and also The Strain. So this is the second time I've seen this movie, having watched it on the big screen when it came out. I am an absolute sucker for a boxing movie, and when I saw the cast involved with this and the writer and director, I knew it was something that wasn't to be missed. So watching it again, you see that everyone is on the top of their game. But those three heavyweights, Gyllenhaal and McAdams, who are cast very much against type, and also Whitaker, immersing himself in the role as always, they really take your breath away. An even bigger standout, though, in many ways, is Oona Laurence playing the 10-year-old daughter. It's a really convincing, heartbreaking and truly believable performance. And I think when you're playing alongside such big established actors, for a child actor, that must be quite intimidating. So I think she's really impressive and kind of, in some ways, is the glue that holds the film together. So as I say, watching this a second time, I not only noticed how brutal the boxing scenes were, I also picked out what I think may have been the original genesis of the idea for this movie. What if Rocky was real? Yeah? So what would taking so many shots do to him, and how would he react if he didn't have Adrian to send to him? That feels like what it's about, because the main character, Billy Hope, is someone a bit like Rocky who tends to take a lot of punches before he gets on top. In this, is kind of that's what fuels him. He needs to get angry enough to then get on top in the fight. He also, I guess like a lot of sports people, is very reliant. He's so focused on what he's doing in the ring that every other aspect of his life, he really strongly relies on his wife to kind of do everything. So when she isn't there, he falls apart pretty quickly. I think the parallels between this and Rocky are quite obvious, and the more I think about it, but I don't know, I mean, ironically, this film probably got less exposure in many ways because it came out not that far off the time that Creed did, and that, I guess, got a lot of the attention because of the Rocky franchise. And it's tough to make a compelling boxing movie these days and not face Rocky comparisons, but you do need to come to this movie without doing that if you can, and just think of it as its own thing. The melodrama aspect of this movie, where he kind of loses his wife and then loses custody of his daughter, reminded me of I Am Sam, a Sean Penn starring movie that I've always really liked. And I actually quite liked the dual aspects of the boxing and then the man and his life. Boxing, it's a boxing movie, but I guess boxing is just a symbol of who he is and what he does. A bit like, say, The Champ. And actually, there is a knowing nod with one line of dialogue to the film The Champ in this movie too. This isn't quite as gritty and harrowing as something like Journeyman, but it's still an emotional roller coaster, but in a slightly different way. Gyllenhaal and McAdams make a very believable couple, and you feel everything he goes through from the first punch of the movie to the last, and not just the things that happen to him inside the ring. At times, the pacing is a little bit slow. It takes the first hour to break Billy Hope down, and then the second hour to build him back up. And that shift takes a while to get your head around, because the first hour, quite a lot is happening, and then there is this slight lull, but it kind of needs it. I mean, with a film with a message about not letting anger define you, this is up there with the best boxing movies for me. Had Creed not come out so soon after, I think we'd all have been talking about this. I mean, putting Forrest Whitaker as the trainer is a stroke of casting genius. Once again, if you stage action well and you cast really strong performers, you'll end up with something special. As I say, I love boxing movies. I also love redemption stories, and I'm a sucker for really strong emotional performances. So I'm not quite sure what stops this film being perfect. Maybe it is the Creed factor. That seemed to be exactly right, and this fell only very slightly short of that high bar. If you haven't seen Southpaw, it is well worth a watch, but I think there's a couple of things that may just stop it being like a completely perfect movie. With all that considered, I'm going to give Southpaw 4 bags of action out of 5. Have you seen Southpaw? Do you agree with my assessment of it? Feel free to comment below or get in touch with us via email, Facebook or on Twitter. We have new episodes coming out weekly, including our full-length podcast. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to get notifications. Bags of Action will always be free, but if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do that at our Ko-fi page.